Okay, let's jump right into this explainer because we really need to address a feeling that, let's be honest, so many of us know way too well. It's that incredibly modern sensation of just being an aimless zombie, going through the motions. You know the drill. We wake up, we work, we endlessly scroll on our phones, we sleep, and somewhere in between, we kind of just wonder what the point of all this actually is. Well, today, we're going to dive into how this mind-blowing fusion of ancient wisdom and modern scientific discovery actually offers a really surprising and super practical solution to this modern crisis of meaning. So here's the thing. When we hit a certain level of basic security in our lives, we almost inevitably hit a wall, right? We start asking, okay, what's next? Why am I even doing all this? And if we don't figure that out, we just end up feeling completely unfulfilled. But here is what's absolutely fascinating. Thousands of years ago, the Bhagavad Gita laid out this transformative framework to completely rewire how we view our place in the universe. And we're going to unpack exactly how that ancient toolkit works for us today. If we really look closely at the modern mind and what we struggle with, it becomes super clear that we are dragging around a ton of evolutionary baggage. I mean, we're literally hardwired by biology to constantly seek security and pleasure outside of ourselves. We look for it in our jobs, our bank accounts, our relationships, or, even just how many likes we got on a recent post. But the huge problem here? All of these things are totally transient. They change. So when we anchor our whole identity and our happiness to shifting sands, we just end up with endless anxiety. The ancient texts actually understood this perfectly. They diagnosed all our modern struggles as a simple failure to see our true nature. So, here is our roadmap to finding that inner peace today. 1. Quest for inner peace. 2. The inverted tree of life. 3. Echoes of the Big Bang. 4. The substratum of reality. 5. Cutting the roots of sorrow. And 6. The art of peaceful living. All right, moving right along to section 2, the inverted tree of life. Now, chapter 15 of the Gita presents this truly fascinating paradox. It compares the entire universe to the Ashvattha tree, which is also known as the people fig tree. Now, get this. The Sanskrit word Ashvattha literally translates to that which will not be there tomorrow, which is incredibly ironic, right? Because as far as trees go, it actually has one of the longest lifespans on Earth. But that's exactly what our world is like. It feels so incredibly permanent and endless as we go about our day-to-day routines, but underneath, it is constantly changing, decaying, and is just inherently unstable. But here is the most mind-bending part of this whole botanical metaphor. This tree is entirely upside down. Yeah, upside down. And when it says above, actually, scratch that. It doesn't mean up in the physical sky. It's referring to the subtle, unmanifest source of reality, pure consciousness. The roots draw from this invisible, infinite realm. Meanwhile, the branches below represent the gross physical world that we actually see and touch every day. Our senses, our actions, all our material stuff. The problem is, we get so hopelessly tangled up in the branches below that we completely forget about the invisible root above. Okay, let's jump into section 3, Echoes of the Big Bang. So I really want you to think about the geometry of an inverted tree for a second. It starts from one singular root point at the top, and then it expands downward and outward into this infinite multiplicity, billions of branches, twigs, and leaves. Guys, this is practically the ancient equivalent of the Big Bang. It's the exact same concept, where the entire universe expands outward from a single, unmanifest singularity into the insanely vast complexity of matter and energy we see today. Both systems, ancient and modern, are describing an emergence from one single fundamental source into a massive explosion of form. And what's super cool is that some of the greatest scientific minds of the 20th century actually realized this exact parallel. Take Erwin Schrödinger. Yes, the Nobel Prize-winning quantum physicist famous for the cat thought experiment. He directly echoed these ancient spiritual texts. When quantum physics started revealing that particles are deeply entangled and that solid matter is mostly just an illusion made up of fields and energy, Schrödinger literally concluded that the endless multiplicity of the universe is just an appearance. Beneath it all, reality is entirely one. And hey, it isn't just quantum physics backing this up. Astrophysics gets in on it too. The legendary astronomer Carl Sagan specifically highlighted the incredible accuracy of the cosmic cycles described in these ancient Indian texts. Because while our current dominant model is the Big Bang, many advanced cosmological models today actually propose a cyclic, bouncing cosmos, one that expands and contracts endlessly. It's honestly staggering when you realize that the Gita intuitively mapped out this infinite rhythm of creation and dissolution thousands of years before we had any telescopes or supercomputers. Which perfectly brings us to Section 4, the substratum of reality. Okay, picture this. There is this beautiful ancient experiment described in the Chandogya Upanishad. A guru is sitting with a student and asks him to point out exactly where the life is inside a plant. The student says, well, it's in the leaves and branches. So the guru tells him to cut a leaf off and asks again. The student observes and says, the life is withdrawn to where it was cut. So the guru keeps having him chop away at the plant until it dies. Which, yeah, I know is a little harsh on the plant, but he's making a really vital cosmic point. Because then he asks, where did the life go? And the answer, it just merged back with the rest of the universe. The profound takeaway here is that the life inside that plant was never actually separate from the universe to begin with. Think about it. Biologically and physically, your sense of being this distinct, completely separate individual, it's kind of an illusion. It's totally like the ship of Theseus. Every few years, virtually every single cell in your body is completely replaced. The food you eat literally becomes your tissues, the carbon you exhale becomes a tree. You are in a constant, unbroken exchange with the cosmos. Because of that, the real you is not this changing physical body. You are the pure, observing awareness, the ultimate witness, that is just superimposed over all this constantly shifting reality. And I love how both modern science and this ancient wisdom force us to zoom way, way out and look past our tiny day-to-day anxieties. Think about the scales here. Modern science dates the universe at about 13.8 billion years old. Meanwhile, the Gita describes a single day of Brahma, which is just one single phase of cosmic creation, as lasting 4.32 billion years. When it really clicks for you that you're a manifestation of a universe operating on these unbelievably vast cosmic timescales, suddenly getting stuck in traffic or getting a slightly passive-aggressive email at work seems, well, entirely manageable. All right, let's look at how we actually apply this in Section 5, cutting the roots of sorrow. So, how do we actually use all this cosmic knowledge? Well, the Gita says that the whole purpose of this dizzying, upside-down cosmic tree is actually to hand you one specific thing, the fruit of disillusionment. The idea is, once you finally realize that the material world is never going to give you permanent, unending happiness, you take that realization, you forge it into a massive axe of non-attachment, and you just chop the tree right down. Now, they call this axe vairagya, which means detachment. But let's be super clear here. We aren't cutting that main, invisible root of consciousness we talked about earlier. No, we are hacking away at all the messy, tangled secondary roots. These are our endless worldly desires, our constant anxieties over status, our total obsession with outcomes. To clear out the mess of our daily suffering, we literally have to wield vairagya. And detachment doesn't mean you just become cold and stop caring about life. It simply means you stop letting the ever-changing branches of the world dictate your inner peace. And that leads us to our final part, Section 6, the art of peaceful living. I want you to think of a physical gym for a second. When a doctor tells you to get healthy, they actually prescribe physical stress, right? Lifting heavy weights, running until your lungs burn on a treadmill. Your muscles might be screaming, wondering why on earth you are torturing them, but you know it's absolutely crucial for their ultimate growth. Well, guess what? The universe operates the exact same way. It isn't designed to be the super comfortable, plush couch of endless pleasure. It is perfectly designed as a spiritual gym. The daily struggles, the difficult bosses, the unexpected financial hurdles, they are literally the exact weights prescribed to build up your spiritual muscle of detachment. This brings us right to the extremely practical framework of karma yoga. The point is, you don't retreat to a cave in the mountains. You act. You act vigorously. You work hard, you create things, you provide for your family. But, and this is the key, you completely drop all the crippling anxiety over the results. You start viewing every single task not as a way to feed your own ego, but as an opportunity to burn off your karma by contributing way more to the world than you selfishly consume from it. And you know, these action steps aren't just some mystical woo-woo concepts. They are heavily backed by modern psychological research as the absolute best way to live a resilient, peaceful life. Things like regular meditation, regulating your emotions, dropping that obsession with outcomes, and deeply focusing on human connection. Science today calls it cognitive behavioral therapy and mindfulness. The ancients simply called it yoga. The vocabulary might be different, but I promise you, the roadmap to mental freedom is absolutely identical. So we've traveled a long way today, right? From the literal Big Bang to the roots of the Ashvattha tree, from the weirdness of quantum entanglement all the way down to your stressful morning commute. The universe is giving you the weights. It's entirely up to you to lift them. Instead of just going through the motions as an aimless zombie, endlessly tossed around by the branches of life, ask yourself right now, how will you actively wield your own acts of detachment today? The root of pure peace is already right inside you. It's time to start clearing away the mess and finally find it.